Why have we come to earth? Do you remember? Why have we taken birth? Do you remember?
It's so fun to watch them because they're eager to do it, and then they get on stage and they and I can so relate right now. I am so excited to speak to you today. There's all kinds of stuff going on inside of me of the thrill of having a chance to share something that is so personal to me, because it says don't take it personal. But it is a very personal message to me because some of you, I have had the MO of a lifetime of saying, be careful how you say it to Sue because she's so sensitive. And I know I am sensitive. I wear my heart right out there, and it's easily touched by both love and sorrow. And somebody could say a compliment to me, and I'm thinking, and then the next one's saying, that wasn't good enough. And so I'm going, I want to hang out over on this side where I was getting a compliment. But this other one kind of sticks, I'm not good enough. And I only take that in because that's a voice inside of me that I'm way, way, way too familiar with of that. And I think we've all grown up with a piece of that in our soul, that not good enough. And so this idea from the Four Agreements is what Reverend David has as our topic for this whole month. This idea, the first principle is to be impeccable with your word. And now Don Miguel Ruiz, this Four Agreements book, some of you might have it in your library. It's a wonderful tool to pull back out and to say, well, where am I now in these four agreements? They're four simple agreements. And this one about not taking it personal is one that you can thrive on. It can push your buttons, and it can also wake you up to a greater idea of yourself, a greater idea of God, a greater idea of the love that dwells within you as you. And this, what I'm going to share with you, there are some stories on myself, but also the ways to take that challenge on, to choose in the moments where you physically feel the moment you have separated, the moment you feel that, to make a choice, to either call upon the committee that lives within you and say, okay, guys, let's gang up on this person because they hurt my feelings. Or, wait a minute, what do I need to see here? Is this mine? Is this mine to own, or is this all their stuff? Is it really all theirs? Is it their world that they're trying to put into my world? And so this idea of taking the opportunity to look more deeply. And I had an experience recently where I was feeling rather noble and full of myself because my fellow nurse hurt her back, and so I thought, I'll work that Tuesday, even though I was really excited about having that Tuesday off. And so I was a little bit of a martyr inside of myself. And the first patient, right away, I was just doing a wellness check, but they started to complain about insurance and the world of insurance, which I hear a lot about in my world. So right away I thought, severing my heart here. And I was behind him, and I actually felt myself. He was going on and on about the state of affairs in insurance and politics, and I could feel myself closing, and getting more tense. And I actually did a little girl thing where I stuck my tongue out. And I thought, what am I doing? And I thought, all right, you're here, you're working, open your heart to this person. Because they're just going on. And I thought, this can go really cold or it can be really warm. And so right then, I gave myself a scolding, and I said, let's find some common ground. And I learned that principle from Ram Dass was such a teacher to me. He actually on his altar puts those on his altar, pictures of those that he has had controversy with, that he's been in disagreement with. And one of those, for example, is Hitler. He puts them on the altar because he says those are his teachers as well, right? Those are our teachers as well. And those are the ones that can stir things up in us. So here was my moment to find common ground. And so I turned to this gentleman, and we moved away from that subject, is all you have to do. Just move away. Don't engage. Don't take that poison into yourself if you know it's your poison. And then you start to feel yourself blossom. You start to realize, okay, now I'm moving from my heart. And the whole experience unfolded to a very genuine appointment time with him. And he was very gracious in the end. And I felt a genuine heart connection with him. And I was pleased with that, in the knowing that the teaching of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes very powerfully tells us all the time, there is a power in the universe, and it's at your disposal, right? And that power is love. And so when we say, what would love do here? How will love operate through me here? And then you wait silently at the seat of your soul, right at the heart space, and you ask what the answer would be. And this shows up in another little story from a Rabbi, Rami Shapiro. He says, he's answering a question, and this is from Spirituality and Health. And the question comes, I am a lily of the field, Matthew 6:28, trusting God to take care of my needs. My parents want me to leave home and get a job, but I know God will provide. How can I help my parents trust God? And the rabbi, so brilliant, says, I wonder if it isn't you who lacks trust in God. Right now, you trust your parents to support you. Move out of your parents' home onto the street. Give no thought to money, clothing, food, or shelter. Trust God to take care of you. Of course, God may be so busy with the millions of involuntarily poor, naked, hungry, and homeless that your needs may go unnoticed for decades, but God is eternal, so stick with it. Brilliant, wasn't it? It is. It's like, turn it around. That's a Byron Katie. Turn it around. Whenever we find ourselves kind of pompous and comfortable and arrogant in our behavior, in our attitude, it's a time to turn within and say, whoops, how did I get here? The perceptions that were layered into me in my upbringing, innocently done, were just socialized. That's how it happens. That's how we become humanized, from the little innocent babies. But we all come from different pieces of the universe, different influences. So there is no way another person can deeply, deeply know your soul. Only you can know the depth of the heart of who you are. Only you can know that. And I was gifted this week from Dr. Chandramouli. He's a Vedantist, and he had his gift for me, and it's a beautiful little book, a really beautiful cover. But I opened to this, and the sayings of Sri Ramakrishna, and he is a saint and a master of the yogic tradition, and he speaks these words: the only purpose of life is to realize God. A man can realize his inner self through sincere prayer. The realization of the self, with a capital S, is possible for all without any exception. God certainly listens to prayer if it is sincere. Know that the mind is at the root of everything. The mind is at the root of everything. It is the mind that makes one wise. It is the mind that makes one wise or ignorant, bound or free, holy or wicked. The mind. He whose mind is always fixed on God requires no other spiritual exercise. Oh, we have the solution. Anchor your heart into the one. And recognize the moment this intelligence in the body makes you contract or squeeze or close in any way, you are recognizing a call of your soul to open again to that greater knowing. Do you know the condition of one who has acquired supreme wisdom? Ramakrishna says, such a person sees the all-pervading spirit, both within and without. He lives, as it were, in a room with glass doors. He lives in a room with glass doors. So Ramakrishna is inviting us into the sacredness of the witness. And the witness self is that which dwells in you. And the untethered soul is forever speaking to this. This is a book by Michael Singer, and he speaks to, well, what is this? How can I get there? Because the people that sit on the board, in my mind, are so powerful and stubborn and so rude and belligerent sometimes. They're always arguing. How do I get to that beloved within me? Well, you see, sit back into stillness. Go into nature. Go into those moments of just, okay, I need to be still. I need to not react here. I need to be impeccable with my word. And I need to be very, very still. So this divine holy friend that dwells within me, that operates only with love, only through love, only by what Ernest Holmes keeps expressing, is a greater power, and we all have access to that. We're conduits of that love. So let me sit still enough. Michael Singer says, you will see that the energy has a power to draw you in when we feel enticed into that sense of conflict of the soul. Each time you decide, I'm not going to let this happen, it still has a power over you. It happens at work, it happens at home, it happens with your children, your husband, your wife, it happens with everything and everybody. Your opportunities to grow are endless. It's always there in front of you. Your opportunities are right there. You commit to not letting the energy draw you in. So you become very aware of the seat of your soul. When you feel the pull, like somebody pulling on your heart, you just let go. Whoa, I need to let go here. My heart's closing. I can't breathe. I don't love this other person. And love is all there is. Is it mine or is it theirs? If it's theirs, you just humbly send them love. You fall behind it. You simply relax, you release. This is what you're doing when you sit at the seat of your soul. No matter how many times you're pulled, no matter how many times you relax and release, the tendency is to get drawn into the chaos, into the constant whirl of energy that this is provoking. But the deeper challenge is there you sit, fall behind. You are the center of consciousness. It's always stronger than the energy that's pulling you in. Oh, that's a relief. You can relax with that right there, that energy. You just have to be willing to exercise your will, but it's not a fight or a struggle. It's not that you're trying to stop that energy from coming on inside. There's nothing wrong with feeling the energies of fear. Hear this, there's nothing wrong with feeling it. Don't start slapping yourself down the minute you feel jealousy. It just is. Oh, I'm so jealous of that outfit. So what? So what's deeper? A deeper way is to just applaud the beauty that you see. It's a deep feeling. It's not your fault that these energies exist. They're just there. They're part of our perceptual field. They're just there. It's just what is. And the invitation is to keep seeing through the delusion of them as having to operate through you and to control you. Because what's greater? Love. Love is the greater self. These things don't make you pure or impure when you're feeling these feelings. You're not a bad person. And it took me a little bit of struggle with some of Don Miguel's words on this, because I kept thinking, this is such an important message, don't take it personal. And when I had invited some people on Facebook to join in this day, some of the messages back, their stories were very personal. And I think I can see why that hurt. That stung. But you recognize what always happened through each one of those stories. They took a higher calling. They took a higher place of seeing the deeper self, the nugget of truth, the deep soul. These things, they are not you. You are the one who is watching. And that is such a trip to really get what that means. Every yogic tradition, every Buddhist path, every Buddhist lesson, every class that we lead you through in the Science of Mind teaching is reminding you that you are the observer of all of this. You are sitting right there in the Christ of your heart looking out. You are the one witnessing, and then the vaporous story, the fog, is all that's out there, but it's not you. Don't think you'd be free if you just didn't have that kind of feeling. You can't just go, oh, I'm not going to do that. Take some deeper contemplation, some deeper digestion of this. If you can be free, even though you're having these feelings, then you're really free, because there really will be something that you feel, and what you feel is that love. Is just that same thing I felt that moment with that patient where I decided to get off of my high horse, my whiny, my perception, and to try to see it his way. What if I was as passionate about what he was saying as he was? What would I feel like? Oh man, we would have, we wouldn't even get to the appointment. Yeah, and you know what else? We would just be going on and on, right? But when we're not in a line with somebody, we want to just cut it off. The opportunity here, just like the rabbi said, turn it around. Turn it around and see where it is there. And there is this beautiful thing on Facebook. And listen to this, okay? I'm going to turn it around in a moment. Today was the absolute worst day ever. And don't try to convince me that there's something good in every day. Because when you take a closer look, the world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness don't last. And it's not true that it's all in the mind and heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It's not true that good exists. I'm sure you can agree that the reality creates my attitude. It's all beyond my control. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that today was a good day. Can you come up here for a second? I want you to, come on up here. I want you to read this backwards now. Now, hear it backwards. You're going to read it from the bottom up.
Impromptu, huh? I'm going to the bottom up. Today was a good day, and you'll never in a million years hear me say that. It's all beyond my control. My attitude creates the reality. I'm sure you can agree with that. It's not true that good exists, only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained, because it's all in the mind and the heart. And it's not true that satisfaction and happiness don't last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while, even if this world is a pretty evil place. Because when you take a closer look, there's something good in every day. And don't try to convince me that today was the absolute worst day ever.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Now, take that on as your week's challenge, whatever it is. Sometimes it's important to write it down and turn it around. Turn it around so that it doesn't have such a grip on your heart. Because when I first read this, I thought, who would ever post that on Facebook? And then it said, now read from bottom to top. And it was like, oh my gosh, I just think it's brilliant. So thank you for adding a powerful voice to that. This idea of the witness self within us, this courage to challenge our beliefs, because our agreements with them are very, very strong. And this is where we get blame and guilt, and all this shame comes from these areas. They all pop up. And we're often allowing this punishment and this guilt to just come from all of our memories of all of our stuffed reactiveness from a lifetime, and usually age 6. Age 6 it starts. And if you think about how much control, think about me sticking my tongue out, I'm so stupid. But I'm thinking, I used to do that to my piano teacher because I didn't practice and she was nailing me on it. So it's her fault. It's like we take things personally because some part of us has an agreement with it. And we've allowed that emotional poison, it's called, to go through us. And so the Buddha speaks of it. There's a little story about the Buddha in this. It's a powerful teaching. A man came up to the Buddha and spit in his face. Now, when I first read that, I went, whenever I see that on TV shows too, I'm always, who would ever do that? Ananda, Buddha's disciple, was shaken by this profound disrespect and took off to reprimand the spitting fellow. Buddha called Ananda back, saying, "We have no way of knowing what ideas this man has about me. He wasn't spitting at me, he was spitting at his own notion." Oh, the nobility of seeing in a moment of reactiveness, of shock, of stun, to be so wise, so centered, so willing to call upon love to see in a truer way. It's a powerful message, this insight. He was spitting at his own notion, can pierce through to the part of us that recognizes truth. But it can only pierce through if there's some porousness, some permeability in our paradigm. We have to have already softened and disassembled a bit of our defensive habit patterns through intention and mindfulness for that piercing to occur. Oh, so I do need to do something. I need to be mindful. I need to call upon love. I need to see it with eyes of love. I love this opportunity, and it's done in a lot of the shaman work, is if you were to take on, say, a totem animal, and you try to feel the idea of it was a bear, and you try to pull the bear inside of you, and you try to look out through bear eyes, and you see the world through that. And it's an opportunity, a very mystical opportunity. Right now I'm inviting you to go into that seat, into the Christ, and see out the Christ eyes of what love would do. It's still, it's silent, it's pure, it's what love does. And it's how you begin to restructure the world, to soften and to allow the heart, the beautiful heart of yours, to have that permeability. So this idea of love ruling supreme. We speak of this power all the time in the center. There's a power greater than we are, and we are one with that. There is an intelligent acting as law that receives the impress of our thought as we think it. It always creates the condition we think about, and it accepts it. So there we are in the driver's seat. We are in the driver's seat of our consciousness, and we can see a greater good unfolding as we allow ourselves to allow our heart space to be permeable to truth. This greater power is always pointing to things that are not tangible, but we feel them. It's like beauty. We can feel beauty, but we can't hold beauty. It's a heart feeling. Truth is one of those heart feelings. Love is one of those heart feelings. And so we're asking ourselves to surrender to these greater truths of God. Love, truth, beauty, grace, all of that will feed our soul, will allow the cushion of our seat to be sat upon with these qualities infusing us, and that's what our eyes look out from to see our world. There's a greater power, and that greater power is created by these God qualities, and we can use it because we are it. The Toltec Wisdom for the Four Agreements is a wonderful book to have in your library because it's teaching you that the domestication of ourself in our upbringing is all but a dream. And it's what gets our attention. It's what we believe and don't believe. Don't do this, don't do that. You're good if you're doing this, and all of the things that wrap around shame and fear into our hearts. It becomes what he terms the law book, different from Ernest Holmes always mentioning the law. So when you're looking at Don Miguel's work, this law book just becomes what you use as your referral to judge yourself, but to recognize that sometimes it's just your own law book that you're using that's pouring the toxins into your soul. This idea, and here it is really powerfully stated, this idea that I'm right though. Gosh, I'm right about that. I'm so right. I can't even listen to them. I'm so right. Oh, I'm so right. If you're so right, then there's room for their rightness as well. Because your rightness has some permeability to it. But if it's so hardcore that you're going to be in a snit, impeccable with my word, until they come onto your side, that's not going to happen. You have to be softer than that. Be gentle with your soul, with yourself, with others. This goes back to the very beginning of the reading where this they call upon this peace. Just reach out and have this peace with one another. So allowing ourselves these opportunities of being real, being out of the fog and into that crystal glass room that Ramakrishna points to. How wonderful would that be? Where if people spoke to you, only love poured back. Oh, that's easy. It really is. Sometimes we fight with that idea, but when we soften to the open-heartedness, we realize the real truth is love calling itself forward. So don't try to be right. Don't try to prove other people wrong. Nothing really means anything good. Criticism, let it go. Take only in what you need to feed you, to awaken you. Keep allowing this opening to letting go. It frees your awareness. It allows mindfulness and present moment living to be that which you truly invest on for the rest of the days of your life. This is the moment of a new day, a new beginning for you. And this beautiful poem from Jan Richardson says, "Let there be an opening into the quiet that lies beneath the chaos, where you find the peace you did not think possible and see what shimmers with the storm." The storm, the chaos. Sometimes there we cannot see. The state of affairs in our world right now feels chaotic. What do we need to see? The politicians, oh my God, speaking out loud voices. What sometimes we feel. But we would never say because it's not politically correct. But listen and find a way where love can allow you to be with all that there is. As we begin to open our vulnerable hearts to embrace the truth beyond our mind's imaginings, we begin that U-turn into surrender. Beyond acceptance of what is lies surrender. At the very edge, both death and birth, it is hard to tell them apart in the last moments before surrender enters transcendence. Moving through the obstructions, healing and releasing them is the spiritual path. With intention and attention aligned, we have a lens so finely tuned that it can zoom into the present now. This is the energy that we want to harness. This is what we want to align ourselves with. Because all the unharnessed energy out there is what is being destructive. All the floods, the tornadoes, all the wars is destructive. But we're going to harness some of that energy. We're going to hone our skills of sitting in that seat of the witness within. And we'll harm no one. When we sit in that place of love, harm no one. Because love is all that there is, and it is no harm. No part of our deeper self really, truly, ever really wants to harm someone. You're never really that satisfied if you walk away right. It still has an edge on you if you really look deeply enough. So allow yourself to be fully present and to end the knee-jerk reactivity and to be willing to be led a little bit longer into studying your own mental habit world. And we ask ourselves then these questions as we lead into our treatment. Ask what shift I can make in this moment to live more lightly. And you can feel that. Because the struggles of the soul are heavy and dense. They break our hearts. And so we ask ourselves, what shift can I make in this moment? With more ease and with more gratitude, we can watch the grasping of the I, so invested in landing with the habit pattern, like it was stated, like itching to plant a flag, like I'm right, and planting our flag there. But we can relax that grasping. We can relax that walk in life. What can I shift my view right now into a more kinder heart, into clarity? What can I do right now to stand in their shoes and to see it through their eyes, through their perceptions? Can I be as brilliant and as centered as the Buddha in that moment of having something feel like it's spitting in my face and know that it's their world into mine? So let's let go of feeding those habituated patterns inside of us and stand as the spiritual warrior, such a powerful testament of standing in the spiritual asana posture of the warrior and just knowing that you can do this work. You're called together in a center like this, a center for spiritual living. What is that? It's the invitation to live with love, to live from that heart space. Be mindful this week of the addictive patterns that kind of follow you and the emotions that will sway your experience in the slightest way. The beautiful instrument of the body will show you. It will shudder, it will tingle, it will sparkle, it will release, it will open, it will love. It's trying to allow that to be felt and untangled from the soul, to be a full expression of love out there. So as I move into the treatment, I want to remind you too that Byron Katie's work as well. Is it true? Is it really true? Is it absolutely true? You know, when you question something, when it comes to is it absolutely true, that's where you have to go, I don't know. I don't know, it's the way I thought. It felt that way. I want to trust my feelings. But then try to turn it around. And the question that Byron Katie always leaves you is, what would you be without that thought? What would you be without that vendetta in your heart? Free. I can feel that, God. I'm free, free, free at last. Hey, that's another talk. But the joy is always there inside of you. Someone showing you what you need to know. Something stirring inside of you for you to be the best that you can be. And as Judy so beautifully plays this music, the classes that we do are really deeply revealing and deeply helpful if you're finding yourself really stuck. And this was written to me, how arrogant. This was written for the class project from Tate and White. And the Declaration of Spiritual Reality, and I was hoping he was here. He's a young man, just in his 30s, but he came in all the classes last year with me, and I just was hungry to see how his dear sweetheart saw the world. And this is what he wrote as his final project. So this is in closing, and this is all about you as well. The spiritual truth is that nothing is missing. Everything is present and integrated. This is the perfection of existence. The universe exists in dynamic equilibrium, all things constantly moving in balance. This essential harmony expresses through the qualities of good: life, love, beauty, peace, intelligence, creativity, joy. There is a great creative urge, an animating principle behind all, bringing everything into expression. I call it the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit is the infinite. It is the unlimited, without beginning or end, formless. It is the spark. It cannot be defined, as this would only place limits on it. The Great Spirit is the question that follows the furthest answer. It is the answer that follows the furthest question. Experience is not reality, because experience is relative to the individual who is experiencing. What is real is the observer, the thing that is experiencing. That is what I am, who I am. I am the observer who is, beyond form and beyond thought. I am the thing that is experiencing. I am consciousness itself. I am conscious of being conscious. I know that I know. This self-realization is where my individuality merges with the Great Spirit. The individual mind is embedded in the one mind. There is in reality no separation, no supreme being outside of something else. There is only the infinite wholeness. All that is supreme being. I am an inlet for the great creative urge. I do not create ideas, I choose them. To be receptive to the Great Spirit, I allow my essential self to experience the world and thoughts, but also relinquish them and not cling to them. In this way, I become familiar with the observer, the essential self, which is my true reality. In this openness, I listen to the quiet that is the divine. I am an outlet for the great creative urge. I am a conductor. The Great Spirit responds to the thoughts that arise from belief. The directive spiritual act rests on the faith that thought is creative. I declare my spiritual reality. There is one life, one love, one heart. Good is all there is. I receive, I give, I journey on in peace. And so it is. Yeah.